Hi, welcome to Inspiring You with Sylvia Yu. I am very honored to introduce my next guest, the brilliant and talented Jonathan Shih. He is the Chief Investment Officer and Managing Partner of Keyrock Capital, a Hong Kong-based investment firm. And he was a founding member and managing director of Tybourne Capital Management before this. And Jonathan began his public equity investment career at Ward Ferry Management in 2008 and oversaw Chinese investment activities. Prior to that, he's worked at McKinsey Co, TVG Capital, and Lehman Brothers. Jonathan, I'm so happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me, Sylvia.
And I know you're so busy. You've just expanded to Vietnam. So can you tell us how you got your start in this career path?
Sure. To be quite honest with you, I didn't know that I was going to be working at an investment firm or a hedge fund at the very beginning. I would have never thought that I would be looking at a Bloomberg screen all day long and picking stocks. But basically, at the very beginning of my career, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, what I knew that I wanted to do was that to get as much learning opportunities as possible. So I put myself in situations where, I can learn the skills, I can learn how to think, I can learn how to do business. And then, after basically about working for 10 years, I found this thing called, hedge fund public equity investing, and was very lucky to start my career there back in 2008.
Wow. So what was the best piece of advice that you've ever received in your entire work life?
Oh, great question. Um, I think that if I were to look back, you know, the most important thing is really to have your heart in what you're doing. Because I think that we live in a world that's very competitive, and there are really talented people doing really amazing things all the time. And so, in order to be able to really be successful and excel, you have to do what's even more extraordinary than everybody else. And what does that motivation come from? It has to come from your heart. And so, if you treat whatever you're doing as a job, so if you're thinking that, hey, look, this is my job, and I'm going to work 9 to 6, and that's basically I'm working for money. Then what you're going to get out of it is also very boxed, very limited.
Yes.
And I love sports, and one of my biggest sports heroes is Michael Jordan,
Me
right?
too.
And so the basketball player, right?
Mhm.
So he always said, like, look, if I didn't play in the NBA, and if I didn't get paid to play basketball, I'd still be somewhere on a basketball court playing and honing in my skills and perfecting my craft. And I think that that's something that's really important to be able to excel in your career.
No, thank you. And yeah, sense of purpose is so key. Jonathan, you are incredibly successful at all you've done. You have an Harvard MBA. What is the secret sauce to your success?
Mm. Um, I think it's humility. Um,
Yes.
so one of the things that my mom, who herself had a very successful career, she always told me and keeps on telling me today, is, Jonathan, be humble. And at the very beginning, when I heard her say those words, Jonathan, be humble. Actually, I didn't really understand what she was saying. But over the years, what I now understand, like her message to me, is that if you're humble, then you understand that you are still in the process of learning, and that you can get better,
Yeah.
and that you cannot be satisfied with what you've accomplished so far. And having that desire to continue to improve is the most important ingredient for success. And so, I'll give you one really interesting example of how I look at people and evaluate people. So none of my team members at Keyrock have ever done what they're doing at Keyrock, meaning that I don't hire people based upon their historical expertise or their capability, but I'm hiring for people that I think that, oh, actually, like they can learn. Because actually, in fact, nobody was actually ever born an investor. Nobody was actually ever born an accountant. Nobody is ever born um, as a trader. These skills were all learned, and so I believe that the most important skill that a person can demonstrate to me is the ability to continuously improve.
Oh, yes, that's great advice from your mom. And you exemplify that so well, Jonathan. You really do. You're so
Thank
humble
you. I
and
appreciate it.
gentle. So Jonathan, these are uncertain times. How are you navigating the uncertainty? And do you have any advice for others who, may be freaking out because, there's just so much looming, right, in the horizon?
Mm. Um, yes, I think definitely in the financial markets, we've seen a lot of volatility, turbulence over the last, call it 2, 3 years. Um, I think the most important thing about investing is that what we call margin of safety. So basically a buffer. Um, the other day, the last several weeks actually, we've been looking back at our historical forecasts of companies, and actually by and large, we're really poor at forecasting the future. And this is not just Keyrock, this is the entire industry. Now, with that being said, our performance has been fairly good. And what I attribute that to is that, hey, look, investing is a game of understanding what is your upside, but also what is your downside. And so if the upside happens, great, that's amazing. But if in the downside cases, are you going to lose a lot of money? Are you going to suffer a lot? And so I think by investing and allocating your capital to places where even in the worst case scenario, you can live with those consequences, I think that that's very important.
Okay, great. What is the most gratifying thing about running Keyrock, and what are you working on, or whatever you can share with us? I know that some details have to stay under wraps.
Um, I think it has to be with the people. It's people inside of Keyrock, but also out externally of Keyrock. So let me start with the external part. So we invest behind some incredible entrepreneurs who have a vision of how they want to help their communities, their societies. Take for example, one of the companies that we've invested in Japan. It's a company called Timee, Timee, and the CEO is a gentleman named Ogawa-san. When we first invested in him, he was 24 years old. He's now 26.
Yeah.
And so his dream is that he wants to help solve some of Japan's societal problems. So, for example, aging demographics. And for me as a professional, for us as a firm at Keyrock, I think it's been an incredible experience to be able to partner with people who have these very ambitious goals, even at such a young age. And then within Keyrock, of course, I think, for me to get up every day, to come to work, to do what we're doing, I think that I cannot do it without extorting effort from our team members. And we've been lucky to be able to hire for some really interesting and very capable people. As we talked about previously, we recently opened up a Vietnam office. And I'm really excited about that development. A year ago, we had nobody in Vietnam, and now we have 5 team members there. And I think working with very hungry, passionate, capable people also helps me to stay on my A game, right? So taking it back to the sports analogy, you want to be on a team where other team members are pushing you.
Mm.
You don't want a team, you don't want to be on a team where your team members don't want to come to practice or don't practice hard. Because like when that happens, you're a product of your own environment, right? And so it's very difficult to be that exception within that environment. And so I'm really, really blessed and very happy that I have team members that can push me, and also that I can help to develop them and really fulfill their potential.
Yeah, wow. So who has been your greatest influence and
Mm.
inspiration?
Um, I, I'll go back to my family members. So in fact, again, I'm very close to my parents, and the greatest influence on me has been my dad. And the way that I describe my dad is that he's a Renaissance man,
Mm.
in that even as he retired, he has not slowed down. At the age of 68, he went back to get his PhD at
Wow.
Hong Kong Poly U. Um, he, was the oldest person on campus, including even if you include all the professors. And he got his PhD degree several years back, and now is
Oh.
a visiting professor at the university.
Mm.
Um, so what I see in him is that this passion for life, this passion for learning, and for a person who grew up in very humble beginnings and had a lot of challenges growing up, I think having that positive attitude that, hey, look, as long as you put your effort in and as long as you try your best, over time, good things will come, right?
Yeah.
Over time, good things will come. And so
Mm.
I do get my inspiration from my dad. I look up to him a lot. And he does motivate me.
Oh, that's lovely. What are some key milestones in your life, and what did you learn
Mm,
from them? At least two milestones, if you could share them.
sure, sure. Okay, so these two milestones both relate to periods in time where there was turmoil in the financial market. So I started my career in 1999, and basically in 2000, as you know, the internet bubble, the technology bubble burst.
Yes. Yes.
And so for the first year of my career, I was working at Lehman Brothers in investment banking, and we were doing a lot of technology IPOs, technology deals, fundraising for companies. When the internet bubble burst in 2000, um, all the business went away,
Mm.
and in fact, um, 70% of the senior team members in my team left. And
Wow.
so basically, I was at Lehman Brothers, one of the only team members remaining. I had only graduated college a year ago,
Mm.
and that was a very formative experience for me because instead of sulking or feeling sorry for myself, um, I really took that opportunity to be able to take more responsibility.
Mm.
And as they appointed a new team leader, a new group head to my team, I was able to work basically side by side with this group head to continue on the client relationships that we had and to basically to continue on the business. So that'd be number one. I think number two is that I started my public equity investing career, hedge fund investing career in 2008 during the financial crisis.
Wow.
And again, like basically within 6 months of me joining the industry, my own firm had horrific, performance, had a horrific drawdown.
Mm.
And it was a very, very difficult time. Um, I wasn't enjoying myself.
Mm.
I was really considering, actually, is this hedge fund thing really for me? And I remember sometime in late November, my colleague and I in the same firm, we went out for coffee, and we decided we're going to quit today. Both of us, we're going to quit, and we're just going to leave the industry. We're going to do something else. And again, this is where my parents come back in, which is I told my colleague, wait, hold on one second. Let me tell my parents I'm going to, let them know that I'm going to quit, and then we can quit in the afternoon. And I told I had lunch with my parents, and my parents had told me, no, you can't quit. I don't know why they said I couldn't quit. And in my entire life up to that point, I'd never quit on anything I had done. But they told me, hey, look, this is not the time to quit. You've just joined this company. And so I went back after lunch, and I told my colleague, hey, sorry, like I'm not going to quit today.
Yeah.
And he decided to leave the industry.
Oh.
I stayed. And like I think what's really important, even during the most miserable points in our life when we have a lot of challenges, is to remember that there are better days ahead.
Absolutely.
There's going to be better days ahead, and to quit at the most absolute extreme worst time is probably not going to be the best decision, right? Like you want to be in a position of advantage. You want to be in a position of strength to make those very important decisions of your career. And so, I'm very thankful that on that day I decided not to quit. And 15 years later, I'm still in the industry.
Yeah, no, that's wisdom on your parents' part, not to quit when you're down, when you're feeling melancholic. Yeah, that's amazing. Your parents intervened in such a timely way. So Jonathan, out of all your projects, what are you proudest of?
Mm. I think, generally speaking, we make decisions that are easy. I think that's just how humans are programmed. When we make an easy decision, it's not challenged. And if it doesn't go well, that was the conventional wisdom. So I think decisions where it's controversial, where you're going to get pushback, those are the most difficult decisions. But also on the flip side, those can be the most rewarding. And in fact, I would say that like at some points in time in your life, you have to make those very, very difficult decisions because you want to take advantage of something, an opportunity, an intervention, a change in course in your life. If you always make the easy decisions, I think that you're going to have a very conventional life. So I say that just in the Keyrock context, we started out 5 years ago, and a lot of what we were doing was investing in China. And for whatever reason, within a year of our founding, we decided to switch and focus our efforts into Japan. And it wasn't that like, hey, we foresaw a lot of the market turmoil that subsequently happened.
Yes.
It was that, hey, look, we see this opportunity in Japan. We want to pursue it. And of course, at that point in time, China was where people wanted to be. And even our clients would push back on us to say, hey, we come to Asia to want to invest in China, but you're now going to Japan. Why are you doing this? And I think that while it's good that this decision has been a positive one for us, but it's also, hey, look, at some point in time in my career, in your career, in all of our respective careers, we have to make those difficult decisions, and you have to live by them. And I'm really happy that 5 years ago we decided, hey, look, let's divert our focus from China to Japan.
Wow, and really, it saved you, right, in many ways.
Well,
Yeah.
Look, I'm just very happy and blessed that, 5 years ago we decided to go in this direction.
Yeah.
I think that we, you know, we see a lot of opportunities there that is just very attractive to us.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm just very, very happy about that.
Do you have any other goals in the horizon? Any new dreams, Jonathan?
Hmm. Um, I would segment my career and probably most people's careers into three parts. Um, the first part is probably just learning, right? So
Mm.
when we all enter the workforce, we're like a blank sheet of paper.
Mm.
And there's a period of time in which you're trying to just learn as much as you can to figure out how to do a job. Um, and that's the first part. The second part is like, okay, now I want to apply what I learned to be good, to be successful, to accomplish something. I think the third part is, okay, now that you've played the game and you've gotten good, you want to give back and you want to mentor the next generation. And so I'm not quite at that third stage, but I'm probably closer to the third than I am to the first.
Yeah.
So I am looking forward to seeing whether it be my colleagues or whether it be the entrepreneurs that we invest behind, for them to achieve their life goals and their dreams. And I think that would give me a lot of satisfaction to know that, hey, look, the people around me, around Keyrock, that they've had a very successful career.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. And everyone watching, I want to urge you to connect with Jonathan on LinkedIn or through his website. Thank you so much for joining us. And I can't recommend Jonathan enough. He is a terrific guy, generous, humble, kind. And yeah, I'm really grateful to know him. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Jonathan. I really appreciate you, and I'll definitely have you back on the show.
Thanks a lot, Sylvia. Really appreciate the time.